So some of you may be wondering, Disaster, who is the main villain of Xenoblade Chronicles? We fought so many villains already that I've lost track of the bad guys in this game. Well, dear viewer, the identity of the main villain will be revealed to you in time, but you may not know about the true main antagonist. It's not your fault. Hell, even some people who have played this game don't even know the truth. The true identity of the main antagonist of Xenoblade Chronicles, the one who's been hiding in plain sight all this time, is
Juju.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I'm Disaster and today I'll be continuing my review of Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition for the Nintendo Switch. And yes, I do mean continuing. Just in case you didn't read the title, this is a part 2 of a video I did last month covering this game. So if you missed that one, you might want to check it out before this one, otherwise you probably won't understand what's going on at all. I'll be covering chapters 11 through 17 in this video, with 17 being the final chapter of the game. So I'd recommend that you catch up on the first 10 chapters in my first video, which I'll link in the description. Anyways, for you returning viewers, welcome back. I hope you're having a great day. As always, I'd really appreciate it if you could like and share this video and maybe even subscribe to the channel. But without any further delay, let's pick up where we left off. And obviously, spoilers for Xenoblade Chronicles 1, so beware. Oh, and by the way, just in case you don't remember, we left off at the end of the first Mecha Mumcar fight, in which Egil, the leader of the Mechanis, fled the scene with Mumcar and Shulk's beloved Fiora in tow, and our party chased after them. Anyways, we eventually end up bumping into Alvis, the hot silver-haired anime boy who taught Shulk how to increase the power of his Monado back when we found Melia. He joins us for a little while, but then we find the best character ever, Dixon. Ho fucking yay. After telling us about how the liberals are at it again, how they want to turn the Mechanis gay or something, he takes Alvis and goes somewhere. I don't know. I don't remember. Knowing Dixon, he probably went to some sort of Trump 2024 rally or something. Anyways, we keep moving to Egil's home base in Mechanis, but we are stopped by Mumcar upon our arrival. We gain the upper hand in battle, and Dunban is about to bring an end to the life of the person who killed so many people, including Fiora, who had been revived by the goddess Maineth, but was technically still killed by Mumcar. But Shulk comes in like, "No, Dunban, if you kill the murderer who's taken so many lives and will take more if he survives, then you're evil, just like him." And Dunban's like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense," and doesn't kill him. Yeah, if I wasn't familiar with anime and JRPGs, then I'd probably be much more critical of this part, but unfortunately I am familiar with male main characters from animated media from Japan, and their tendency to forgive the worst fucking people ever. And also, a boulder falls from the sky and kills him anyway, so I guess it all worked out in the end. I guess Anime Jesus apparently had enough of Shulk's bullshit.
I just wanted to touch it. Didn't know it would do that.
The gang then continues their mission to find Fiora, eventually finding both her and Egil in the latter's evil Mechon lair or whatever. Egil starts telling us about how Shulk's attempts to get Fiora back are useless because Maineth, the goddess of the Mechanis, which rhymes, has taken over Fiora's corpse to use it as a vessel, and that Fiora can't remember Shulk because Maineth is conscious within her. However, the power of a literal goddess is apparently no match for the power of love, and Fiora starts to remember Shulk when he shouts for her. This pisses off Egil, who fights us, and, as is the case for most face Mechon fights, we aren't able to defeat him. But after hearing Fiora's voice inside of her head telling her to protect Shulk, Maineth destroys Egil's fortress, causing it to begin exploding. This gives Egil no choice but to flee, even leaving Maineth Fiora behind in his panicked state. This seems like a good thing until, oh no, she falls off of the flying fortress unconscious from using so much power, and quite possibly the dumbest moment in the game so far. Yes, even when you count the part where you wanted to spare Mumcar, Shulk decides to jump after Fiora, which seems heroic until you realize he's kind of falling, 100,000 feet from the sky directly onto the solid ground. The rest of the party, though, is not that reckless. I mean, hell, even Ryan is convinced that he won't stick the landing, so they try to find another escape. Shifting back to the perspective of Shulk, we find out that wow, he's still alive. So yeah, after casually proving to us that plot armor is so powerful that it can protect you from botched skydive, Shulk then... Wait, how the fuck did he survive that fall exactly? I asked this question on a Nintendo forum thing, and I was told by many that his fall was cushioned because he landed on a sandy beach. However, I don't think that even sand could prevent spinal fracture from falling right off of a deteriorating fucking sky fortress. But I mean, hey, it never happened to me, so I guess I don't know for sure. Anyways, a completely unscathed Shulk finds Fiora, who fell near him in the shallow area of the beach. However, she turns out to be unconscious from her fall. My question is, how did a girl with a huge layer of protective magic armor covering her nearly die from the same drop distance as a completely normal guy who just literally woke up and was completely fine? I have no idea. Anyway, Shulk comes to the conclusion that she's thirsty, so he carries her out onto the sand to give her water. Unfortunately, the 100,000 foot fall damage, combined with that weird weed slime cave from earlier in the game, made Shulk forget how to use a water bottle, and so he comes up with a different plan, which is to drink some of the water and give it to her through a kiss. What? Anyways, this causes Fiora to wake up, and yes, Fiora this time, not Maineth in Fiora's body, and also yes, we did just witness every fucking anime trope combined into one scene, but it gets better. This is a 10 out of 10 game, don't worry. But there's a really adorable cutscene where the two hug each other and stuff, all happy to finally be able to see each other again. Well, I thought it was adorable since I'm a normal person, but if you're one of the Shulk and Melia shippers out there, you were probably seething about this one. Okay, look, don't dislike the video and leave a million hate comments, I'm just joking around. I mean, I personally don't see the whole Melia and Shulk thing, especially given how the ship between Shulk and Fiora is literally a canon ship between two people of the same age, and... Wait, how old are these characters anyways? Let me see. Okay, Shulk and Fiora are both 18, Ryan and Charlotte are both 21, Dunban is 30, and Melia is 88 fucking years old?
Old age?
Okay, look, I know she has a one-sided crush on Shulk or whatever, but you know what? We can actually talk about Melia later. Plus, nothing really becomes surprising in this game after you find out that Ricky is actually 40 years old and in crippling debt. Anyways, after some adorable bonding between the two blonde lovebirds, Fiora explains to Shulk that Maineth still resides within her body, but only decides to come out when needed. After this, the game cuts back to the perspective of Dunban, Ricky, and Melia, who, what do you know, also came out of the crash unharmed. Well, physically anyway. Absolutely nothing could compare to Melia's mental pain after she probably sensed that Fiora kiss.
I am fine.
And while we're on that topic, the next POV we switch to is the one of Ryan and Charla after fucking on the beach. Or at least I wish that's what happened, but of course fucking Gaddle has to still be alive. Can't have shit in McConus.
I just wanted to...
Look, I know we're just joking around here, and I know that Ryan and Charla is basically canon at this point, but we didn't even get a kiss scene for them or anything. Charla, I love you, but you don't know how good you have it. I would kill for that himbo dick.
I came to...
Anyways, our gang reunites, and together they meet Lenata, a Machina, which is basically a Homs and Mechon hybrid. However, her goal is to stop Egil, and she takes us to meet Egil's father, Mikkel. Lenata is pretty serious about stopping Egil, but holy shit, Mikkel is not fucking around. The literal first thing that he asks you to do when you meet him is to kill Egil. Like, dude, I know he's evil, but didn't you, like, give birth to him? I mean, that's what I'm assuming, because I don't see his other parental figure anywhere.
Are you okay?
However, the weird weed cave effects must have worn off because Shulk happily agrees to this very non-pacifist plan. Dixon also shows up and acts totally not suspicious at all, and then we head out to stop Egil. But on our way to the Mechonis, we're met with a very surprising twist, or rather a surprising face. Gaddle is here and he's being controlled by a faced Mechon, and he's stopping us from continuing on. And god fucking damn it, Gaddle, you've been doing enough cock blocking already, man. So we fight Gaddle, but unfortunately he only ends up severely injured and not dead. But he does tell Ryan to take care of Charla, which is basically Nintendo's way of, you know, kinda T-rated saying, yeah, I give you permission to fuck. With Geralt now defeated, we then fight Egil, and Shulk is able to land a fatal blow, which pisses him off and causes him to go back into his golden mechon form and blow up the area we are fighting at. Luckily, this kills Geralt, who dies in the explosion. Oh, and also our character survived. That's good, I guess. Anyways, Melia takes a huge L, and then we go to fight Egil in his final form. This time, Shulk doesn't stab him, instead trying to convince him to change his ways and bring peace back to the Bionis and Mechonis. Egil, now seeing his flawed ways, happily agrees with Shulk. He then reveals to him that the Homs and Mechon were not always at war. They actually used to live together in harmony on the two Titans, valuing peace and companionship over war, unlike a certain place that starts with the US and ends with an A. Egil's boyfriend, Arglys, was a giant who one day discovered the Monado. He curiously grabbed it, not knowing that it was possessed by the soul of Sansa, who took over his body and began the war. This means that the chained Sansa that we saw die wasn't even actually Sansa, and was merely him using Arglys as a vessel. This made Egil develop a hatred for both Sansa and the people of the Bionis, turning him into the person he was up until, 2 seconds ago. Shulk and Egil then decide to make peace between the people of the two Titans and live happily ever after. Until Dixon shows up and kills Shulk by shooting him with his gun, causing another Shulk who is actually Sansa to emerge from Shulk's body, revealing that Sansa was actually controlling Shulk the entire time and sending him visions of the future where he would finally break free from his vessel, which is right now. Okay, let me back up a bit. Yes, Dixon is evil, which isn't surprising at all because he's ugly and his voice sucks. But what is surprising is that he is actually the disciple of Sansa, and he had been evil since the beginning. Like, literally the beginning, as in he was literally around during Sansa's formation. He then reveals the truth behind Shulk. At age 4, his parents took him on an expedition where they discovered the Monado. Sansa used his Monado powers to kill the three of them, and then he used Shulk's body as a vessel. However, unlike Mayneth in the body of Fiora, Sansa didn't use his power to talk using the body of Shulk, instead letting him live out his normal life and sending him messages in the form of visions. This wasn't to help Shulk, though, as he used these visions to lead him here when he would finally set himself free. Angered at Sansa's abuse of his godly powers, Mayneth leaves Fiora's body to fight him. This results in Mayneth being turned into a second Monado for Sansa to use, but fortunately, it gives the rest of the crew a chance to escape with dead Shulk, just as Egil and the Mechonis are destroyed by Sansa and the Bionis. As our party is escaping on their ship, though, Dixon appears again, this time accompanied by a horde of Telethia. Melia's other evil sister, Lorithia, also shows up, as well as Melia's not evil brother, Callian. Callian tries to defend the group against his sister and Dixon, but gets turned into a Telethia by Lorithia, along with all of the other pure-blooded High Entia. So yeah, big plot twist. It turns out that the High Entia's true forms are actually Telethia, and the only reason that they were able to remain human-like is because they weren't exposed to high amounts of ether energy. Essentially, Sansa favored pure-blooded High Entia because they would turn into Telethia, aka basically his power source, meaning that impure-blooded High Entia would not turn into Telethia. Meaning, of course, that Melia remains in her human form, heartbrokenly having to witness her entire race get turned into Telethia. Luckily though, Callian realizes that I haven't used Melia as a party member at all, and that she's like 2 levels lower than everyone else, and uses the last of his strength to shoot himself at Dixon and Lorithia, giving us enough time to escape. Back at the Machina base, the group discusses their plan of attack and puts Shulk on life support. One of the Machina was also kind enough to create a Monado replacement, just in case Shulk magically comes back to life in time for the Dixon battle. Leave your guesses below. Will he come back or not?
Don't be stupid!
Also, Alvis is here completely unscathed by the Telethia attack. Wow, it's almost like he lied to us about being High Entia or something. Anyways, Dixon arrives with this gang of Telethia, but before we focus on him, we get back to the perspective of Shulk, who is currently floating around a solar system-like brain questioning his existence. He shows that he feels that his entire life was meaningless since he's been dead for the past 14 years, but Elvis shows up in his brain like, get over it, bozo, bringing Shulk back to life just in time to fight Dixon. Yep, that's right, everyone. Choke is still alive. If you guessed correctly, please claim your prize with the link is please visit at Vizaster. That's at VIZASTER on Instagram.com to claim your prize. I don't have any money from this channel, but so we fight him. But then he escapes, but this time with Alvis in tow because, oh my god, he was actually evil, who could have known? So we rush off to fight Dixon, but before that, we have to go through one of the most annoying fucking areas in the game. Okay, here's why it was annoying. So basically, you have to fight Lorothea before you can get to Dixon, but she is extremely hard to beat, and I ended up having to grind for forever. But that isn't even the worst part. Like, not even by a long shot. I faced hard bosses in this game before, and the difficulty is actually something that I really enjoy about this game. And I didn't really mind grinding because the fighting in this game is actually really fun. But the fighting here was an exception, because grinding here was not fun at all. The area consists of enemies that are able to shield themselves every 2 fucking seconds, even though they should be easy to beat, dragging out battles for forever, and you're stuck in a tight fucking cramped area. If that sounds bad, play the game. It's worse than it sounds. The Lorothea fight isn't fun either, as the bitch fucking shields herself every 2 seconds, and the random enemies that randomly spawn around her also shield themselves. Anyways, after witnessing one of the most questionable cutscenes in any video game ever, we beat her, and Dixon appears as a hologram, telling us to fight him at Prison Island. And now we get to the other reason why Dixon sucks. He delays our final fight with him like 100 fucking times. One of the main complaints that the few people who don't like this game have is that the boss fights take too long to get to, as you usually have to take enemies down on your way there. However, I personally think that's one of the strengths of this game, and it really shows here actually. Before fighting Dixon, we have to go through a trial-like mini-boss thing, where we go through an arena of different monsters and navigate a dungeon to get to the top of Prison Island. Personally, I thought this was the most fun pre-boss area to navigate in this game, and it was also 100 times better than fucking Lorothea's bullshit. Anyways, we make it to the top of Prison Island and fight Dixon. And then we fight Dixon again, but this time he has a major glow-up.
Enough talk, boy.
What? I said he had a glow up. I didn't say he looked good. Did you really expect the ugliest character in the game to become a hot giant?
If this is a joke.
Anyways, we defeat him again, but this time he says,
I'm going home.
and then he dies, finally.
See ya, kid.
Oh, and by the way, we're in space now. And like, for real this time, Zanza lives in space. And for all of you kids who want to grow up to be astronauts, this game shows you proof of why you should not want to be one. You can't save your game in space. So yeah, this is basically the end area of the game, so you can't save, which is extremely annoying because the Zanza fight is ridiculously hard and you will not beat it on your first try. The only reason why I was able to beat it without having to start from a previous save was because I didn't close my game when I was supposed to put it away for the night, and I got home before my brother, so I was able to reach the Switch before he got home. Professional YouTuber words. And you may be wondering, why do you want to keep the game open so bad? Can't you just go back to your previous save state? Well, I did save before I went to space, but you don't get the liberty of fighting Zanza right away. First, you have to go through the entire solar system and defeat the spirits of dead face pilots. Which is a pretty cool twist, I'll hand it to them. You fight Mumkar as an example of the shockingness of the situation, but what was the most emotional part for me was fighting Gatto. Look, I know I ragged on the guy the whole video for being the whole reason why Ryan and Charlotte didn't get together, but he was a really nice guy, and he was supportive of Ryan and Charlotte. I also felt pretty bad because I kind of had Charlotte on my team during the fight. The main party I used was Shulk, Ryan, and Charla, though I did replace Ryan with Fiora a lot, and I still had it equipped here during this fight. I was actually half expecting some sort of secret line from Charla after the fight, but she literally just said something like, "Yeah, we did it, guys," which is pretty funny actually. Anyways, we fight Zanza, who is very hard to defeat because he has 3 different stages, but we still managed to beat him. Oh, also, did I mention that Zanza is God? Or was, I guess? Well, Alvis teleports Shulk to the past to explain everything, so I guess I'll just let him explain it. Okay, so basically, a really long time ago, back when Earth was still a thing, Zanza and Maneth were scientists conducting experiments with the goal of creating a new universe. But this went wrong, like, very wrong because it destroyed the Earth. This is what caused the Earth to be replaced by the 2 Titans, with Zanza and Maneth ruling over them as gods. However, Zanza became corrupted by his power. Being the god of the Bionis required ether energy, which could only be obtained by exterminating the lifeforms on the Bionis, and that is exactly what he did. So yeah, Zanza basically just kept repeating the cycle of the people of the Bionis getting repeated over and over again. But eventually, humans began to wonder what life was like outside of the 2 Titans, and Zanza feared that they would leave and that he would be forgotten, and he would lose his main power source. This is what started the whole Monado vessel thing. And how exactly does Alvis know all of this? Well, he's kind of the god of both Zanza and Maneth. And he's a computer. And he's a computer program. Okay, it's hard to explain. Anyways, he gives Shulk the task of deciding the new future of the world since he basically killed God and is the new one. However, he decides that the future should be decided by the people living in the world and not a god, so he throws away the true Monado, creating a new world where everyone lives in peace, Fiora has her old body back, and our main couples can finally live in peace and harmony. And also,
Juju.
it's back.
I'll go and make dinner.
And that was Xenoblade Chronicles. Okay, like I promised in the first video, I'll go more in depth about my thoughts about the game here. The game's story, in my opinion, is honestly one of the best ones I've ever seen in a JRPG. Actually, scratch that, and this is maybe the best story I've seen in a game in general. It starts off as a basic revenge plot, but morphs more into a really gripping story with elements of betrayal, corruption, war, and so much more. Hell, the game even sneaks in some themes of religion being twisted to fit people's ideals and other shit like that. The characters, of course, help flesh out the story as well. I know I kinda made fun of Shulk during the video, but honestly, he's a really impressive protagonist. And keep in mind, he appeared in a time when so many RPG protagonists were silent. The fact that they took a protagonist with seemingly basic goals of "I'm going to get revenge" and "I want to save my love interest," and turned him into a really human character despite being technically dead for 14 years, was really impressive. The other characters are great as well. Ryan seems like he's kinda just an idiot, but when you look beneath all of that, he's a really smart and caring person. It's easy to see why Charlotte fell in love with him, as he truly does care about her, and is thoughtful even in tough times. Sure, he may have kind of a rough way of showing people he cares, and it may be a bit intense, especially in scenes like this, but it really is clear to see that he truly cares about these people, especially Charla and Shulk and his close friends, and just wants to protect them in the end. Not to mention, he's also a great father figure to Juju.
Juju.
And just a side note, I think memes about Juju are funny just as much as the next guy, but if I'm being honest, I seriously don't get the hate towards him. Like, sure, he may be a reckless kid who runs away and gets himself in danger a lot, but he's 13 fucking years old. Do you expect him to be, like, super mature and stuff? Anyways, Fiora and Charla are also really impressive female characters. While even some forms of media that come out today still depict women as defenseless and needing to be saved, Xenoblade takes this concept and throws it out the window. Fiora still may be the one that Shulk is trying to save, but she risks her life to protect him so many times as well. Not to mention, she also manages to remain a kind and caring person despite carrying the burdens of having a badly functioning new body. Also, there's a reason why Charla is my favorite character. She may be a healer, but not because of the "I heal because I'm a girl who's too afraid to fight" trope that's in like every JRPG ever. She became a trained medic to protect the one she loves, and she's a really good sniper as well. She also has the goal of saving her colony from the Mechon, but is super level-headed about it and not as reckless as her younger brother. And adding on to what I was saying earlier, I think the fact that she became basically a professional medic just to help people without any training whatsoever is pretty fucking cool. As for the final character that I actually used and paid attention to, Dunban is a really amazing character. He stays strong despite the harsh life he's been forced to live. He lost his parents, his friends, his colony, and even his sister, if only for a temporary period. Not to mention, he was betrayed by both Dixon and Mumcar, two of the most important people to him. But despite all this, he manages to stay kind and friendly and thoughtful and caring for all of his friends and family. And Ricky and Melia. We can talk more about Melia later, but Ricky's character really irked me. It wasn't just the annoying voice, his insufferable way of talking, or anything related to that. It was also the fact that he just felt pointless, like he had been put into the game for no reason. Like, if you took Ricky out of the game, nothing would even change. He essentially just gets thrown into your party for no reason, and he'd be super forgettable if he wasn't making a stupid and annoying comment in every fucking cutscene. He doesn't do anything remarkable, he doesn't have any important character arc, he's literally just there to be annoying. And then we have Melia. Now let me be clear, I do not hate Melia. I just found her kind of forgettable. I put her and Ricky in the category of characters that joined the party and never got used for me, and aside from the whole High India arc, it felt like she didn't really have much screen time. So before I move on to talking about the other categories, let me recap here. Xenoblade's story is practically perfect, and aside from Ricky, so are the characters, even if Melia was pretty forgettable. I already talked about the art as much as I wanted to, but let me just say again that the character, environment, and enemy designs are all just amazing and not over-sexualized, unlike a certain 2017 game called Xenoblade Chronicles 2. This game also has character customization, which I absolutely love in my games, and it's super extensive too. But the Xenoblade Chronicles 2 debacle is a conversation for another time, and the last thing I wanted to say is that Charlotte and Atharon are really good non-white character designs, which is especially impressive because sadly many anime and anime-styled games have black characters that are borderline racist caricatures. As for the sound, like I already said in the first video, the game has absolutely stellar music, and my opinion still remains the same on that. But I'm going to have to change my opinion a bit on the voice acting. Don't get me wrong, I still believe that the game has some pretty great voice acting, especially for the main characters. But characters like Ricky and Dixon's voices are just not... For lack of a better word, they're just ear-grating. Ricky is the more infamous example. He and all of the other Nopon have super weird and annoying voices, and it doesn't help that they're combined with some of the most cringeworthy and awkward lines ever. As for Dixon, his voice actor isn't even that bad, it's just the annoying and drawling Western accent that gets me. And that's about everything I wanted to say about Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. As I've said many times now, this is probably my favorite game of all time, and I love it so much, and I would absolutely recommend it to anyone, even if you're not a JRPG fan. I'd recommend you try it out, but that might just be me being biased, so I don't know. And yes, before anyone asks, I am very excited for Xenoblade Chronicles 3 to come out next month, or it might be July, but either way, very excited. This is probably already super obvious, but I'd personally give this game a 10 out of 10. I'll probably talk about Xenoblade Chronicles 2 at some point, but I'll have to replay it first, and I'm busy playing Fire Emblem 3 Houses right now, and expect a review for that one too, by the way. The only real negative things that I have to say about the game are that it's a victim of some infamous JRPG tropes, such as the super convenient moments and flawed protagonist logic. Melia got barely any screen time, Ricky got too much screen time, and a certain character whose name starts with Dick and ends with Son barely had his backstory fleshed out. But I also kind of don't really count that against the game, because as most of you probably know, I didn't want to see more of Dixon. It's just, his plot was never really explained. Once again, everybody, thank you so much for watching. It means a lot. I hope you enjoyed the video. I worked super hard on both parts of this review, and I would really appreciate it if you at least like the video and share it, subscribe, comment, stuff like that. I'll see you on the next one. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed this series as much as I enjoyed making it. I had a lot of fun making it. It was a lot of hard work, but I'm really glad I got to talk about my favorite game of all time, and the fact that both parts now span about an hour really says a lot about it. So yeah, I basically said all I wanted to, but yeah, please subscribe, like, comment. Thank you for watching. Bye.